Okay, that was Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie thing.
Yeah. It's a movie that gives you things and then doesn't explain
give you
them.
Things.
No, it gives it to you without explaining it to you. So you don't understand. It's out of context. You don't understand the context. Obviously, where they're giving us the image.
Yeah.
But they're not telling us what it means or why or where we are. Well, I'm guessing we're in Kenya at the very end there.
No.
He said it tastes like Kenyan spices.
Yeah, well, that spice makes everything taste Kenyan.
Oh.
Could be in Kenya, honestly. I don't know. That being said, why is Okotsu there? But who were they talking about when they said they really went home? And did Okotsu know who this person was?
Well, Okotsu sure looks different. Yuta looks happier. Yuta's hair is parted. Still carrying around the katana. Dang. I don't know what to think. It feels like it's setting up for there to be another movie.
It does in a weird way, or a continuation in story. Imagine like right now, imagine right now. Okay, so remember the fight with Gojo and Jogo when Gojo teleported away to go pick up Itadori while he was watching Lord of the Rings? What if like in the anime a really serious moment's happening and we need help? And Gojo just teleports away to Kenya or something to pick up Okotsu and take him back for help. And we get to see that in the anime.
See it. I wish I could go back to season 1, to the show, and find every time that Yuta is referenced.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure they say, oh, he's away right now. Because it's obvious to me that he probably tackles missions by himself.
Depending on what his power is now. I have question of that.
Well, then why is he sent off by himself all the time and he's not at the school to meet Itadori?
Very true. I imagine that it's strong still. I'm just like...
I believe for this guy to respect him, I think Miguel was his name, he would also have to be still strong.
Yeah, I agree. It's just interesting. I don't know what to think of it. I definitely know that Geto loves his dates.
He keeps a calendar, that man. He does. He likes picking specific days.
Yeah.
What's the day that we're waiting for season 2?
October 31st.
October 31st, and this was what, December 24th or something?
Yeah, October 31st because of Shibuya, I think.
Yeah, and this was Tokyo and Kyoto.
This is definitely the thing they were referencing with Toto, right?
Oh yeah. He had to make it to that Christmas special. I totally understand.
My something I didn't know that was a thing before coming into this movie was healing.
Okay, yeah. What
so
was
the
that?
line is healing with cursed energy requires an advanced reversed cursed technique. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't even catch that line. I was too busy, I don't know, being confused at what that bubble was he put on them.
That's
and also
him,
confused.
Healing them.
Yeah, and then I was like, why is Maki's leg not all messed up? Why are they all looking refreshed other than Panda when Yuta wakes up? I was so confused.
We've never seen
because in my head, right? I'm like, I didn't think that was even possible.
Yeah.
It's not like there is a... Ieri doesn't heal. Ieri? The, doctor woman?
Yeah.
She doesn't, heal.
Not that we know.
And that's the only character I could think of that would be one that we would see that sort of thing with, and it makes sense in the story. So, we haven't been given this before, and I'm like, what is happening?
Geto's ability is truly haunting and scary. It would be the perfect ability to have on the side of good.
I mean, no wonder he wants Sukuna. It never super completely connected for me. Okay, yes, you want him because he's powerful. But now it's an added layer of Geto would basically be taking him, as a weapon of his.
Yeah. Huh. Do you think that if Itadori had turns into Sukuna and Geto shows up right when he turns, he immediately controls Itadori while he's turned?
I don't know. Because he did say that he was going to kill Yuta in order to get Rika. So then would he have to kill Itadori in order to get Sukuna?
That's an interesting question.
You asked me something at the very beginning before we started watching, and I think it's important to talk about because I think anytime there's a movie or any other content that is a different storyline than what is talked about in the show. I think it's a good question to bring up.
Pose the question, and then on the count of 3, we're both going to answer it.
Okay.
What's the question?
Oh, but I don't know if a yes or no answer is good enough.
Yeah,
okay.
We can elaborate on it.
Okay. Could someone watch this movie without seeing JJK?
1,
Season 1.
2, 3, yes.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so this might sound really embarrassing, and I'm like basically airing out my dirty laundry in terms of JJK, but I have always found the curse system to go over my head a little bit. Like when I first watched through of the show, where you're watching it, you're intaking it all, and you're not like going back for the rewatch. I feel like if I rewatched it a few more times, maybe one more time, a lot of the facts of the universe and how curses work would make more sense to me, or be more readily available in my brain. And I feel like because I already felt like it when I watched season 1, like I was kind of just put into a pool, like thrown into a pool of this universe.
Yeah.
And that's not a negative necessarily. It's kind of exciting.
It's a
to
choice.
Be like, it's exciting to be so quickly immersed into something and thrown into it. And I think it can be done well and not make you feel like, oh, this is horrible. I don't know what's happening. So I did feel like it almost made me feel like I was Itadori. And in this case, it would make me feel like I was Yuta. Like, I am just thrown into this world of Jujutsu sorcerers, and I don't know about curses, and I don't know how to do curse techniques. I don't know any of this. So, I would say there was the same amount, maybe less, in the movie of explanation of things, but I think there was still a lot of the things that were explained in the show that were explained here. So, I think someone could watch it and enjoy it, but I think it would help if you just told them before they watched it, like, hey, curses and people can control curse energy. But I also think it's kind of implied, especially with Maki's character. I feel like her character is basically there as, just in case people don't know about cursed energy and that some people have it, She's kind of there as that, so that if you do try hard enough, the clues are there, the pieces are there.
Like how you touched on Yuta there, I think that, well, I had it written down for a good portion of the movie. I felt like there was intent in trying to make the viewer see this world through Yuta's eyes, not only in storytelling, but in visuals. I felt like the POV shots of Yuta were very I felt the intention behind them, and I felt like I felt very connected to Yuta as a main character in this, and I definitely think that somebody could watch this without watching Jujutsu Kaisen the series, and I think that they could have a very unique, interesting experience doing that, because they would pick up on some things that the person who had watched Jujutsu Kaisen wouldn't have known going into this. I didn't know healing was a factor, only watching Jujutsu Kaisen, but if I talked to somebody who'd only watched this,
they would have thought that it's possible.
And I've watched Jujutsu Kaisen, just a series, and we tried to communicate with each other about the world, we'd be able to exchange some like crazy information. Like if I said, wait, what? There's healing in this universe? And they're like, yeah, it's cursed energy and an advanced reverse curse technique. I'd be like, those terms make sense to me. I've heard them in regards to Gojo's techniques and like Hollow Purple, but I don't really know exactly what you're saying. And then in exchange, they'd be like, what the fuck is Panda doing? He's a cursed corpse? What does that mean? And I'd be like, oh, you don't know Panda. Like, I think that you could totally get by without watching Jujutsu Kaisen. It's almost like the House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones thing that we're doing at the moment.
That's why I thought it was a good question.
It's like you get a little bit more out of it if you've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, but it
doesn't mean you couldn't have sat at the movie theater and enjoyed it.
I think you would have sat at the movie theater and loved it.
And then wanted to watch the show.
Yeah.
Probably. And then just imagine your experience watching JJK after this and being like, oh, Gojo and Geto, and like noticing more about when people mention Yuta, like those words and those times would mean so much more to you.
Agreed. Like you'd have if you had only watched the movie, you'd have so many questions about Gojo Sensei, Inumaki, like what Panda is, what Mechamaru is, and most importantly, Takeda-chan. You'd want to know what that comes from.
That's
and,
the most important part.
Yeah,
and know.
I do want to bring up one thing. I'd never thought this while watching the show, but is there actually something like this? Sounds so stupid because there's such like an emphasis on it. Is there actually something to Gojo's eyes? Like, is there, like, I feel so dumb for never questioning it while watching the show in hindsight, but they brought it up here, and I'm like, oh, what is special about Gojo's eyes? Is it like a Sharingan? Yeah, well, like, there has to be something there, right? A lineage, a family tie.
I mean, we do know that Yuta is somewhat related to Gojo, so that's interesting.
There has to be some reason that his eyes make him, like, level up a billion, you know?
Or that beautiful too. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like,
maybe we'll learn. You know, if they ever give us a second season of Jujutsu Kaisen, I think we'll learn. Oh, there were some other things that were brought up in the movie that I didn't think of when I watched Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, you never really think of this universe and world of curses extending outside of Japan. And outside of around the town where the two schools are, you know, you never really think about it being in. I think the two young people that were like teenagers, they said they were both from kind of maybe. They
reminded me of Nobara. They weren't.
Yeah,
from
they were
the
from the middle of nowhere, like Nobara, but this was from more of a middle of nowhere where they were treated like they needed to be caged up.
Which, her curse was coming out of her like phone camera.
Yeah. I like the modern application.
Very interesting, right?
And you can't like hate. Okay, here's something else interesting. The Ghetto in this movie, which is not the Ghetto we know, refers to all of these people as his family, and he's so excited to see them. And,
well, they're all curse users, primarily.
We never have seen any of these people.
Yeah, and like his close-knit group in this are curse users, just close-knit group in the TV show or curses. Like,
he had to have died there. And
something changed. And I need to know what.
We have never seen any of these people. And I mean, to me, I guess one of them is now not a villain, or maybe even wasn't a villain to begin with. I'm not really sure why any of them, other than the two young teenagers, decided to help Geto out. I mean, the one woman seemed like she agreed about the whole monkey thing. So it seems like she was on the same page with Geto about that.
One thing I love that happens in anime that makes me feel so stupid talking about is camera work in anime. When I feel like the shot is like intentionally following like a person actually being there filming the set and what motions
like
they
when the
be
camera
doing.
Was dropped.
It's so good. It's like, so compelling.
It felt like you were watching a journalist that was like on the scene of this attack, this parade.
The sound design was incredible too. I mean, it's Jujutsu Kaisen, but like it was great. My big thing that I was like ready to comment on and question and like try to think of if it was a possibility or not with you was if Rika had humanistic emotions or a conscience, or was she still intelligent somewhat? And holy shit.
She felt like she was still a kid. I mean, I didn't feel like she wasn't. No. There was negativity there, but she still felt like her age.
No. Like, I was going to ask that question and pose that scenario before the whole scene with Maki happened.
Mm.
Everything got flipped on its head. Like, once I saw, like, the jealousy, like, I got so emotional. I was like, this is, like, a real person still. This isn't just, like, a curse who's screaming, help me. This is, like, an actual intelligent...
It, like, makes me think back, like, just what you said. Like, when Itadori has to kill those curses that were people who were just turned into that.
See...
And they're, like, talking to him.
That's what I assumed it was. And I think if trying to project myself into Itadori's shoes there, if I was a certain type of person, I could convince myself that it was right, and the help me thing was just a manipulation that was like on repeat just to guilt me into it and make me lose that fight. In regards to Rika here, I my jaw dropped in a sense of like, oh my god, this is a real person with real emotions still living attached to Yuta right now. And it made their whole fighting together dynamic way more emotional and impactful for me. I loved it. It was so good. It was so good. I like the whole idea of Yuta cursing Rika is so fucked up and so dark. And
why did my brain just go to Naruto?
What do you mean?
Sasuke's brother.
Itachi?
Yeah, Itachi and the girl that was in love with him that he loved.
Yeah.
I don't know, she reminds me of her in design, but also what Itachi does for her.
I don't see it.
You know, I mean, like, it's not connected really, but it just, my brain went there.
You've never watched Shippuden?
No. So I don't really know anything. I just know, that's like the one part of Shippuden I know, because I'm like, anything that might be romantic, I need to know it.
Facts. Do you agree with me that there's something with Geto that like is crazy different in regard?
No, I totally agree with you. Something happened. I think he died. I think he's a curse now.
I don't think he's a curse. Because
well, what would he be if he was
can be
dead?
Seen by humans.
Oh,
maybe
true.
He's halfway. I don't know. There's something.
But like, Gojo couldn't have just let him live unless Geto knows someone who can heal.
If Rika was a bad person, my guess would be, since they were in a similar spot and Geto just died, Rika would inhabit his body. But Rika's not a bad person.
And Rika is gone now.
Which is sad, in a sense, but really happy in another.
You know, in terms of, like, color, like, obviously we've talked about it, that we just love the color in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Amazing.
But I think what made me the happiest is the tones that are normally associated with Yuta, and not just his energy, his cursed energy, or Rika, but also when we first were introduced to him, the lighting in that room, and then the explosions later in the movie, all of them were within a pink and purpley red tone. And he said that it was all like love, you know? And I think Geto said that he thinks love is the worst curse. And I think it obviously was very purposeful. The tone that surrounds Yuta is colors normally associated with the heart and with love.
Inumaki.
Yeah?
I'm just so happy that we got more of him. I'm such a, like, it's no thought, stupid. My brain's turned off. I just love everything I see with him. It
makes me so happy to know that after a little bit of time with Inumaki, you can start to understand him. And when he said run away, I was like, oh my god, he just said words.
But, okay, here's a question though.
No kelp.
So he said run away in the TV show. He said run away to Megumi, and they did. Is Ukotsu just that powerful that he resisted the command?
That is such a good point.
Like, my big question to you, to encapsule this whole experience, is if and when Ukotsu Yuta comes back into the main story of Jujutsu Kaisen, if that ever happens, now seeing a full an hour 40-minute movie with him in it as the main character,
would he feel like that?
How would you introduce him into that story? How would you do it?
I would probably just put him in a giant present box and then be like, guys, look.
Solve global warming.
And have him pop out. That's what Gojo would do.
Honestly, that's the perfect answer. Fuck all seriousness to that question, because there's nothing that could top that.
They would like each other.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, who he wouldn't get along with, and I can't think of anybody. I feel like Itadori would be like, Nobara, you aren't bothered by him? And Nobara's like, I think he's kind of cute. Like, he's lovable. He's a really good character. Like, I was a little worried that, like, once I kind of realized that, oh, this movie's in the past. Oh, we're not getting Itadori. Oh, they're showing us a new main character that we've only heard of in name. I was like, that's a bold choice.
I mean, it's nice.
How's that going to end up?
It's nice when you're trying to create a world where you're saying that, like, yes, the character that I've already introduced as the main character is special in this world for the context that he's special, and that's, you know, he ate a finger, you know, that's cool and all, but this world has existed before him, and curses have existed before him, and if Sukuna is so old and so strong, then it's safe to say that there are also people who have lived and died and are still alive that are amazing stories to tell.
Yeah, but like what I was saying was like there was like that big doubt in me and fear, like going like into like, oh, that's a big decision to make and that's a big route to take. But like surprisingly enough, even though that I had known a lot of things that were being told to me, whether it's like just the general rule of thumb in regards to curses or a lot of what Maki was saying, it still brought up these emotional buildup in moments even early on in the movie, like inside that curse's stomach before we even see Rika really come out. And like I was just astounded. I don't know if it's the writing, the universe, my like just
I never thought they would use Maki as a rival for love, though. Like, it was obviously purposeful to especially have it hit and be emotional when Rika was jealous towards the end. And it was mainly just Panda being Panda and wanting to make a love connection, matchmaker like he is, you know?
Like you are.
Like I am, yes. So I am really happy with it. I'm happy with it.
Well, there's no chance of a love connection because for the first time ever in Jujutsu Kaisen history, we have seen a human kiss a cursed spirit. We saw a kiss, or we kind of did.
Yeah, I feel like Yuta's like emotionally unavailable now. You kind of can't date him now, I think. He still wears an engagement ring.
Yeah, I mean, nobody would know in a separate sense, but they definitely like both like leaned in for it though. Right?
It was hard. Oh my god, he loved her so much. So didn't you like the delivery of like them just giving us her line at the beginning, and then the next time they showed us the flashback, we hear his response?
Yeah.
And he was so gung-ho about it. He was like, sure, I'd love to like be with you forever and ever. And I was like,
I loved that, and I loved the like obviously they pick and chose what we didn't hear the entire movie, but I thought that, okay, I didn't hear what happened in response to the proposal, right? Like of course, that's a gimme, right? But I didn't expect what I didn't hear was right after she died and the actual cursing of her. And that killed me on the inside, man. Did such a good job.
I just realized another question we're left with. So other than just finding out that he is a part of this family of sorcerers, why was he in the hospital when he met Rika? Why was he there by himself as a small child walking around in a hospital? There were so many holes in his story. It was hard to figure out who he was and who he was attached to.
It seems almost intentional, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody did come from, if he is a descendant of a prominent family, and it was so hard to get this information, and he was left in the middle of nowhere with nothing, or in a hospital with nothing, seemingly at least, then it almost seems like somebody put him in that position intentionally.
It would also feel relatable to the series if it was like he was being raised by a single mother that was kind of disowned by the family or something, and then she died, and he was a small child. But I think it was definitely purposeful to not give us why he was there, how he met her to begin with, where did he come from. All we know is there are holes in his life, and he hasn't even brought it up. The only person he has ever talked about it from his past is Rika. A
couple of times in the early part of the movie, I was like, is Itadori related to him? Like, in the sense of the familial, the lack of family that we've heard about, and I think arguably different sides of the same coin in the sense that Itadori is ridiculously physically strong. And when I was thinking this very early on, it was the scene of him trying to carry everybody out of the veil, but him physically like not being there, but him still pushing on. And I was like, Itadori has that strength, but not the cursed strength in the beginning of the series.
Is Yuta supposed to be like Itadori and Junpei put together?
Maybe.
Or was Yuta first and then Junpei and Itadori were created as branches off of him.
Like another thing I was thinking was like, oh, Junpei and Itadori and something else. Like the whole aspect of the love and like the despair. No. Like the despair that you have of like potentially cursing somebody or like having the spirit latched onto you that you can't do anything with is something that isn't in the main series, I don't think. And it's crazy dark.
Yeah, isn't that what Gojo says like at the very beginning when he meets Yuta? Ooh, that's dark.
I love how the council like every year is like, all right, which juvenile innocent kid are we gonna kill this time?
Yeah, and obviously, not even give a chance to.
Obviously, that's hyperbole. I understand why they do it, and I understand why Gojo defends it. But just the joke is there that they are trying to kill a kid.
But also, like, Itadori isn't special at all.
Yeah.
Because Gojo just wait, Itadori, next year, there's gonna be another minor. And Gojo is gonna adopt him, basically, and bring him to Jujutsu High.
I think we have to say that the dude who fought Gojo is obviously one of the strongest sorcerers we've ever seen in the show to be able to survive several minutes and then live through it to tell the tale.
Also looked unscathed. Basically, the only problem is he was using up all of his rope.
Very cool and interesting. You have to give that man credit.
Props.
Yeah. All right.
Do you think there's any significance to the third person that was shown with Gojo and Geto in the flashbacks of them?
Actually, I would love to see that.
Because it looked like it was a girl.
Do you remember where it was?
That's a good question. Definitely before the end.
Was it before this interaction took place?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was while Gojo was talking to him.
Do you think that they were talking about what his lineage was?
Who?
Gojo and Geto.
Maybe.
Because like right after they talked, they were saying what the lineage was. Granted, we saw the report being delivered. Was
so
it
the
before
words
or after
we
this?
don't know. I feel like it was before this because it was the words we don't know, and then he smiled. See where it's them walking together? We're like looking at the little
but Crunchyroll's hard with this kind of stuff.
Okay.
That looks like Nobara, but yes, I do think she's important.
And then they show another shot of all three of them together right after. Or is that a different person? Maybe the same girl with longer hair at that time.
And it's just them two. Maybe they lost her.
It could have bonded them even more to have like, and that be why it's an even worse betrayal.
It could be like a whole, Fushiguro and Nobara quote unquote lost Itadori. It could be that, but actually lost this person.
True.
It's a good thing to point out, though. I do wonder. There, in my opinion, whether it's a movie or the series itself, there's no shot we don't get this expanded upon since he's still a reoccurring villain.
Okay, season 2, I'm ready.
Please, soon.
Is it coming out October 1st? I wish. Oh my gosh. That would be crazy.
31st?
What?
October 31st? Shibuya?
Dude, if they drop it on October 31st,
don't tell anyone.
I'm
Alright,
okay, yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time. We can elaborate on. We can elaborate on.